Woo! How we doing out there today? Oh, I'm 5 minutes over. Shoot. Just kidding. Sales, selling, and closing. I had lunch today. My wife and kids, by the way, just did under 20, under 16, whatever it was. I got a 3-year-old and a 7-month-old in the back somewhere. Georgia May and Kennedy Noel. She's our Christmas Day baby. They're back here somewhere, I think in the back over there. There she is, my beautiful wife, Shannon. She texted me, said she was here. I said, good, now I'm not nervous anymore. We ate lunch, and as I got up to leave the table, was passing by a group of ladies that were just, oohing and awing over Kennedy, and they're like, she's so cute, and I'm like, I know, so is her dad. And but she really gets it from her mom. And one of the ladies asked me, she said, or one of the ladies made the comment, she said, man, your wife looks like she should be on TV. And I said, yeah, that America's Most Wanted episode hasn't run yet. Just kidding. I said, well, thank you. She actually does get that a lot. She's been told she looks like some very pretty people on TV. And the next girl said, the girl sitting next to her said, man, how did you land her? And I said, show up at 4:20. I'm talking about selling and closing. But I'm not going to talk about how I landed her. That's right. So selling and closing. I will be honest with you, as I have been already, and I will tell you that there were a couple times in this business, about 4 months in, where I almost quit. People looked at the success we've had as far as the sales side of things today, and they said, man, were you always this good at selling? Have you always put up these high numbers? And I'm like, no, I wasn't. There was a time where I actually almost quit the business. And at the end of the day, it boiled down to this. I won't go into detail from that side of things, but at the end of the day, it boiled down to the fact that I was more worried about being an insurance salesperson than I was about really focusing and channeling what I really do care about, and that's caring about people and wanting to help people. And as a brand new person, if you're here today and you're like, hey, I've never done sales, I don't know anything about insurance, that's exactly where I was 10 years ago as a 26-year-old kid. I had no insurance experience. When I first heard about this and somebody said, you should go check it out, you can make a lot of money doing insurance, and I'm like, that's for like old people, right? And I didn't know, I couldn't have hardly told you how life insurance worked. But I went to one of the events like this, a local meeting that we had, and I saw the people that were up there making the kind of money they were making. And I was like, I think I'm all about insurance now. There were people that, believe it or not, weren't as good looking. There were people that weren't as talented. But more importantly, I think at the end of the day, there were people up there that were making good money that you could just tell they were in it for the money, and it wasn't because they really, really cared about people. So what I found at the Alliance 10 years ago was if you really care about people, you are going to make a crap ton of money in this business if you really care about people. And it's on the sales side of thing, it's on the recruiting side of thing. But specifically here this afternoon, we're just going to chat for a little bit about selling and closing. And people ask again, how is it that you've gotten so good? If you're brand new and you're going in, I get the mindset. You're making your first phone calls, you're running your first appointments, and your brain is so scattered and fried because all you can think about is they said I could make $500. I just have to get these people to say yes. How do I get them to say yes? What product is best? What if they ask me? Your mind is just going 100 different directions, right? Or was I the only one like that? Your mind's going 100 different directions. And your thinking is, I've got to make this sale. I've got to make this sale. And if you go in, whether you're brand new or whether you've been here 10 years selling insurance, if you go in with the mindset, I have got to make this sale, you're setting yourself up for failure. Here's what you need to do. You need to go in with the mindset, I have the best resources in America to help these people who have asked for insurance, and I know that I care about them enough to not let them let me walk away without helping them. These people filled out a form, they walked it to their mailbox, they told you on the phone, yes, come over tomorrow at such and such a time, and here you are, they want some insurance. Don't let them down. Don't let them down by not caring enough about them. You've heard this expression all the time. People don't care what you know until they know that you care. People don't give a about what you know unless they know you give a. That's 100% true. And here's, when I'm talking to people, even something little as this, when you're at the table with a client and you're helping them out, there's two different types of posture that will make or break whether you're going to help them or not. When you're sitting there with your facial expressions, listening to them, listening with the intent of helping, not listening for what you need to say next and what you need to interject with. When your posture is like this and you're listening and you're showing that you care versus the guy that, oh yeah, we'll get you taken care of today. We'll throw a little ROP on there, get you some disability income, and you're already thinking through what you're going to help them with before you know what their need is. That's 100% the difference between, am I going to help these people or am I going to walk away and not have them with the coverage that they need and that they've asked for? And to them, you're just another salesperson. So the key 100% when it comes to selling in the home is being different than every other insurance person that they've talked to. Being different than every other insurance person they've ever talked to. And the foundation of that is giving it, because that shows you really care. Talk to them, ask questions, get to know them, and then when it comes to the actual nuts and bolts of making the sale, ask them questions and shut up and listen. Let them talk. Quit trying to overtalk them. Quit trying to come back with every single thing that they've ever said and show them, yeah, well, actually, that happened to me too. And quit trying to do that. And for the next 8 or 9 minutes, what I want to do is give you a segment of the sales process that will separate your selling career from this point forward if you'll take it to heart and implement it in every home you sit in. You hear us talk all the time about building the why. Thank you. The problem that most agents make, and I did this myself many, many times, the problem that most agents make when they're sitting in the home and trying to help a client or make a sale is they don't build the why. They don't get to the root problem that that client had in mind when they sent that card in, when they sent that form in. So your job is to get to the why. What most agents will do, what salespeople will do, is they will sit there and, we always talk about showing the lead back to the client, sliding it across the table. Hopefully by that point you've built the rapport. Hopefully there's trust and likability there. That's key. Andy always says that your number one job is get people to like you. That's true in selling and recruiting. Get people to like you because people do business with people they like and they trust. So when you get people to like and trust you, and now you're going through the sales process, if you will, ultimately showing that you care, you have to build the why. It is your job to build the why in the home. And the way you do that is through asking questions. So it's going to sound something very similar to this. We always talk about mortgage protection, final expense. I'm going to use mortgage protection as an example, but you can apply it to final expense as well. When I'm sitting in the home with a client, the likability's there, obviously. The trust is there. And you're sitting there with the client and you're asking them what the concern was, what the purpose for that lead was that they took the time to fill out and send back in. And everybody in here has heard the response, well, if something happens, I want to make sure my wife and kids can keep the home. Anybody ever heard that response before? Those of you that didn't raise your hands are lying or you don't have your license yet. When that response happens, those of you that raised your hands or should have, raise your hands again if one of your next questions was, or one of your next statements sounded something like this. Well, Mary or Bob, we can definitely help with that today. Let's take a look at some options for you, right? You're a salesperson. That's what salespeople do. Remember, you care about people, so it's your job to build the why, to build the value in that home. So it sounds a lot like this. Bob and Mary, they get used all the time, but it's a younger couple this time. So you got Bob and Mary. They're in their mid-30s. They've got a couple kids. They just bought a house. They sent in a lead for mortgage protection, and you're sitting there with them. Again, they've told you to come out to their home at 7 o'clock on a Tuesday evening, whatever. And what I say is, Bob, Mary, or Bob's the one that filled the form out. I slide the form to Bob. Bob, when you sent this form in, what was the primary concern that prompted you to send this in? And Bob says, well, if something happens, I want to make sure Mary and the kids are taken care of. keep asking questions. Keep peeling back to get to the root of the problem by asking more questions. When Bob tells me that, my response is, Bob, that's noble. I respect that. Let's be real. It's not if something happens, it's when something happens, because we know it's going to happen. Is that right? Now I'm done talking to Bob. And I look at Mary. Mary, help me understand what that looks like if Bob doesn't come home tomorrow after work. Because here's why, Mary. As I was on my way over here today, I saw on the interstate a sign that said 317 traffic fatalities on South Carolina highways this year. 317 traffic fatalities. We're halfway through the year. Do the math, that's almost 2 people a day dying on South Carolina highways as we speak. So while I'm sitting here talking to y'all tonight, Mary, there's a police officer at somebody's door here in South Carolina telling a widow now that her husband is not coming home anymore because of a traffic fatality on a South Carolina highway tonight. Like, that is fact. Those are the statistics. That's the numbers. At least 2 people right now are being visited by police officers while I'm sitting here talking to you tonight. So let me ask you this, Mary. If that were to be you tomorrow, and we did not have this in place tonight, what kind of situation does that put you and the kids in? You hear how quiet it is? That's what that room sounds like. Mary doesn't want to talk. She's sitting there like just, I don't know. I mean, it would be bad. I know it would be bad. Help me understand how bad it would be. Would you be able to keep the home? No, Bob brings home the money. I wouldn't be able to keep the home. Where would you and the kids have to go? Like, notice I'm leaning in, like I'm intent, I'm focusing. I want to find out, what does this look like? Where would you and the kids have to go? Well, I mean, I guess we'd have to move back in with my mom down in Orlando. Okay? So that means you'd have to put the house up for sale? Yep. That means that you would have to have the kids uprooted and moved to go to a new neighborhood in Orlando, making new friends and meeting new people, all while you're having to rush to sell the house so that you don't lose the equity in it because you can't make the payments on it and you risk that foreclosure? Is that what we're looking like? Is that what we're talking about? And I'm telling you, and time is up, but I'm telling you, if you will continue to go down that road asking them, painting a realistic picture, because you give a crap about them, I'm telling you right now, when it comes to the end of those questions, and she can't hardly say a word because she keeps wiping her eyes, that's where I follow up with, Mary, here's the good news. If God forbid that happened to Bob tomorrow, I know there's no amount of money that will ever replace his life. But if that were to happen to him tomorrow, the legacy that he leaves behind is that you and the kids financially are able to go on. You can focus on his loss. You can grieve properly. You can help them remember their dad for being a man and being somebody that left his kids and wife a legacy because he cared enough to take care of them. So Bob, Mary, you've just told me that your situation, if that were to happen tomorrow, right now, with where it's at, this is what Mary would be in. Is that correct? Is that why you sent the form in? Is that why I'm here tonight? If we can find something, and I know we will, if we can find something that fits your budget, that is going to make sure that Mary and the kids still have a place to stay, they don't have to rush to sell the home, they don't have to worry about foreclosure, they can still continue on with the life that you've established. If we can find something that fits your budget and meets that need, what would keep you from making sure we took care of that tonight? And that's how I got my wife, Shannon.